My guest at this time is a veteran WWE superstar. She is now featured on the new single Bubblegum with international star Mugletta. It's our good friend Ariane Andrew. Ariane, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
Thank you, Nick. What is pussy poppin'?
You see, you ask me that every time, and it immediately sets a tone. And everything's great. I'll just say that everything's good in my world. Everything seems to be going really well in your world, Ariane. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm finally back home after being gone for 2 months. So it feels good to get settled, get back in my routine, get back on, the grind.
Where were you for 2 months? What were you doing?
I was back in LA. I was filming a movie. I booked my first lead role in an independent film. So I was doing that. And then I was doing all the stuff for the music for the single for Bubblegum.
Well, but wait, before we get, you're a lead in a movie? That I did not know. Wait, can you tell us? Can you tell us anything about this or no?
Oh yeah. I'll give you a little tease. So it's crazy. Yeah, booking a lead, that's a big role to play because you're not only having to fulfill some big shoes, but make sure that other people, your supporting cast, is together. So pretty much it's about a teacher who is struggling, trying to get her son back, and ends up getting into prostitution to make the ends meet.
That sounds dark. That's really dark. This is not a comedy. This is a very heavy film. It's
a heavy film. I had to play some multiple parts, being a teacher, which, comes easy because I used to work with autistic children, but then having to be a prostitute, that was like, ooh, okay. And I also ended up becoming a lesbian. So there's a lot happening in the film.
Wow. Are you? I didn't know. That sounds really heavy. So, how acting classes to prepare for this? How did you prepare for a role like this? That sounds like a lot.
So, I was taking acting classes for about 2 years, and I had stopped. I actually, because I want to put my best foot forward, when I got the opportunity, I actually flew back to LA, met with my coach, did the self-tape with her. But you know what? Instead of I feel like I'm a person who sometimes overthinks things, especially because I deal with anxiety and depression because I'm diagnosed with it. I was like, you know what? Let me just take a deep breath, not have to invest so much money into acting class, and just do what I feel is going to be natural instead of, putting, just instead of overthinking it, because I'm an overthinker.
Sure. Wow, that's a lot. I did not know that you were doing all of that. And then also, working on this song with Mugletta, Bubblegum. How did this come together? I guess is the next question to that.
So what's crazy, I always say collaborating is how it goes, right? The more that you collaborate, I feel like that's how success comes. It's kind of hard to do things by yourself. Matt, my co-host, Matt Dillon, had heard this amazing song on a show, and he was like, who is this girl who's singing? He ended up finding out who it was. It was Mugletta, and then he reached out and was like, he was obsessed, and he's like, come on, sipping the tea. And from there, we just had such a good vibe. There's certain people you do interviews with, and it just feels like family. It's conversational. And I was, at that time, I think I had already had my second song out. I was like, girl, we should do a song together. And you know how people will usually be like, yeah. But she actually ended up sending me the demo, sent me the part of where I would do my verse, and we made it happen, which is crazy because usually people will say they will do things, but they're fucking liars.
Yeah, well, and that's awesome. And so the last time we talked about your last song, the remix, you had talked about how you hadn't been able to really hear it out in the world yet because of the pandemic and quarantine and everything like that. Have you been able to go out and hear your music at a club or a studio or anything like that since you've been able to put some stuff out recently?
No, I haven't, but it's crazy because my producer of the original song, the first song I came out with this year, which was Born With It, produced by Dave Allen, he actually said that a friend had hit him up and that the song had played, I think it was at, it's a restaurant in, I think it's Tao in Hollywood. He was like, the song just played in Tao. I think that's what it's called. Don't quote me, but it's in Hollywood. So I was like, wow, that's super awesome, to know that the song played. So
how you talk about doing movies, you're doing music. you spent so much time in that WWE bubble, right? Where they have so much kind of control of what you can and can't do. How much does it mean to you now at this point in your career to be able to do all these things? Can you imagine all of these opportunities, like going back to a way of life where you wouldn't get to be able to have all these kinds of opportunities to focus more on pro wrestling again or something like that?
I mean, let's just keep it a 100 or 1000%. I would say definitely when I was in WWE, I don't ever want to, I don't need a pat on the shoulder, but I feel like I was always still kind of doing things like that before. I mean, I'm the first woman ever to have my music at like with my voice as an entrance. No one had ever done that. No one's gonna say like, oh, she was the first person to do it. I don't need credit for it, but I did it. I was doing red carpets. I was doing things that you weren't really allowed to do and kind of pushing the envelope. I mean, I won't ever get credit for it, but it was like, I'm the first one to do a music video, a first one to do music. I was always just kind of trying to make myself be different, especially being in a tag team with Naomi, and people being like they're twins or, one day I'm Naomi, one day she's Cameron. And I'm like, we are so different. So that was my way of standing out. Like she was the bad bitch in the ring who could kill it. And I'm like, okay, I got to make myself stand out because what she does in the ring, I'm definitely not fulfilling those shoes.
I hear a lot of stories. I've heard a lot of stories over the years of like wrestlers, when their management finds out that these wrestlers are finding their value outside of the company, they kind of pull back on that. Did you ever find any resistance from WWE while you were working there for doing things that you thought were outside the box or pushing the boundaries?
I don't think so, because I feel like what I was doing was never anything harmful for the company. I feel like, WWE has definitely become more mainstream. So I think as long as you aren't doing something that's making the company look bad, and on top of that, I wasn't a top player, I was a mid card, low card. When I was with Naomi, I would say I was just like a mid carder. When I wasn't with her, I would be on the lower end. So I feel like they weren't really, if you're on the higher end, I feel like maybe they're paying more attention, but if you're also bringing more money to the company, like why wouldn't Vince want money?
I guess I don't know. I mean, Zelina Vega, it sounds like got thrown out of the company because she wouldn't give him her precious Twitch dollars or something like that. So it's
but she's back.
She is back. She is back. I don't know how much she's twitching anymore, but she is back. I guess for better or worse there. So yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting. So with WWE, obviously, you're doing this. How focused are you on pro wrestling right now, Ariane? Are you primarily focused on these outside projects, or do you want to have another meaningful run in professional wrestling?
Oh gosh, I am very torn if I want to say this, but I actually reached out recently and was like, I would love to come back, and will I be back? That's to be determined. But I actually reached out to Vince himself and was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the person who's to the top. I miss, being in that world of wrestling. And especially like I saw Naomi, what was it, like 3 months ago? And I was like, you know what? If I have nothing, if I never got, the championship, I feel like having the tag team titles would be awesome. Like I feel like I would feel fulfilled. I feel like I would get that feeling of feeling accomplished. Because I feel like, yeah, the Funkadactyls was awesome, but I still feel like there's like this void that I'm missing. And I feel like if I was able to go back, and not only that, we'd be making history, be the first Black woman ever. And I hate to throw that, term around when it comes to race, but we'd be the first Black woman ever. Not ever. First Black woman to first have the the belts.
The tag title.
Yeah. There we go. I was all jumbled over my words, but that's like because I'm passionate, because I would love to have that.
For sure. So wait, you reach out to Vince directly. Does Vince respond? Like, what is his reaction when you reach out to something about like that?
So he actually responded, which is crazy. I'm like, okay, I know he's a busy person, and was like, I will get in touch with I'll pass this along to John Laurinaitis, who's head of talent relations.
Okay, cool. Well, at least that's something. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Naomi could certainly maybe use a little something right now. I mean, every time we talk, Ariane, I feel like there's some kind of hashtag Naomi deserves better campaign that is just wrapped or is in the process. They left her off the MSG show, her and Zelina Vega both, right? And then this past week on SmackDown, the new angle is she went to Sonya Deville and she complained that she wasn't getting to wrestle, and so they fined her, and they made her pay a storyline fine for complaining about that. How do you feel about the latest kind of bit of creative that's being thrown Naomi's way at the moment?
I feel like it's always something. That's the truth. Like whenever we talk, there is always like what's happening with Naomi, and I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna take to finally have that moment that she deserves before before she decides to, wrap it up and be like, I'm done. We're not getting any younger, we're getting older. So it makes me upset. But I'm a person that likes to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. And maybe there is an opportunity that's around the corner. And I do feel like timing is everything. And to be quite frank, with Bianca kind of having that moment and WWE kind of expanding themselves and now kind of seeing talent of color as a place to have like that, with Big E getting the title and these type of things, I feel like having two women of color at the moment would be too much based on just how the progression has been with WWE. Because think about it, like the first person who kind of had that moment for being a Black woman was Sasha.
Sure.
But she's also half white. So I think now with having Bianca kind of being in the forefront, that has to play its course before I feel like they would bring, Naomi to have a moment.
I get it. I get it. But like at the same time, there was never really an issue when a white woman was chasing another white woman at the top of the card, and that's kind of
it's the truth. It's the truth. And I mean, what I love to see that happen, of course, but I feel like WWE is still in that process of still trying to figure it out. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like for them, it would be probably too much. But again, things are changing, and I feel like the world is evolving. And things have come so far, not even with WWE, but with the world in general. So I always say never, because I think actually having a feud with Bianca and Naomi would be pretty fucking dope, because those women are so fucking athletic. Like, I mean, imagine seeing them having a feud. That'd be dope as hell.
And it was an amazing moment on Raw last week too, with Bobby Lashley, losing the title to Big E. It was the first time that a Black man had passed the title on to another Black man. It's been a long row of white, obviously, there for a while. So.
But isn't that crazy that we even it's sometimes I feel like you have to beat around the bush or you choose your words wisely because some people feel offended. But I do think that that's crazy that we even have to have like that conversation. But what I will say again, instead of looking at the glass half empty, I'm looking at it half full and saying, you know what, we're evolving. And at the end of the day, we are just humans. We all eat the same, we all shit the same, we all do the same stuff. So at the end of the day, it's just a skin color. And I feel like, as we continue to evolve, I feel like there's endless opportunity.
So would you be a fan then of Naomi joining her husband in the bloodline? There's been a lot of people kind of clamoring to see her at the table there with them.
I mean, her and her husband, they had, a small moment before in history of wrestling where they were together. But I think that could be dope for her. I still think that I see Naomi in her own entity, though. And I feel like she deserves to have that before her time is up. I mean, but maybe having something with being a part of the bloodline will then now get her to the point of having something by herself if she were to join them. You know what I mean? Because it's, Roman has been at the top for so long. And now with the Usos being a part of that, it's only just going to increase her fan base. If she were, then she can go do her own thing.
Well, I want to ask you something. So AEW, you obviously spent a little time in AEW last summer competing in the Deadly Draw tournament, I believe is what it was called. I don't have it written down in front of me. But yeah, you were briefly there, and they've been trying to put more focus, I feel like, on the women's division. Britt's obviously a star. They brought in Ruby Soho recently, which is pretty cool. But like, I'm a little surprised, and tell me what you think about the fact that, there's so many top female free agents that went on the market here in the past 6 months. I'm a little surprised that it's been a male dominant pickup here from AEW. Outside of Ruby, there really hasn't been a whole lot of women. It feels like maybe that they could have picked up, should have put up, that should have been brought over to AEW. I don't know. So
You never, this is the thing, like, whether you're an avid fan or someone who's just like a spectator who's on the sidelines, you never know what's going on behind the scenes. So I feel like there's so much that goes on behind the scenes before you even become like, being seen on TV. So who knows like what contracts or what the situation is. But I would love to see the Iconics
yeah, right.
in AEW. Like, you know what I mean? Because the one thing I do think is that AEW allows more freedom of speech. I mean, even when I was there, and it's just a more free spirited environment. Don't get me wrong, like I'm not gonna ever bash WWE because that's the place that gave me who I am today. And I'm gonna always be grateful for that. But I do believe that there's a little bit more free spirit at AEW.
Okay.
But I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, I would like to see the women's division, I do feel like is picking up at AEW, but I do still feel like it's, there's something that's still lacking that I can't put my finger on.
Fair enough. Well, something else I wanted to kind of get your take on. I don't know if you've seen the episode yet or not, but there was this Dark Side of the Ring episode about Plane Ride from Hell last week that has a lot of people talking. Did you have a chance to view that particular program, Ariane?
I did not have a chance, but I did read about what happened.
Okay. Okay.
And I mean, I can believe it to be true just because I just know from going on tour. It just seems like something about going on tour um, makes people just get a little crazy. And when plane rides, plane rides and tour. I just seem like when it's different. Like obviously when you're flying and it's just you, but I feel like when it's everybody on a plane and you're either it's a group plane ride or it's tour, something crazy always ends up happening for some reason.
Well, I guess like the reason I want to bring it up to you is like obviously you're a woman in this environment, and I think a lot of people walked away from that episode a little chilled about the attitude towards women in
Yeah.
general coming out of that. Did your experience? Did you ever feel like it was a maybe an uncomfortable environment, or things got too out of control or too out of hand when you were in those kinds of tours or on the road or backstage with WWE?
I mean, never for me personally, because one of those people, I never like to shit where I eat. And
Right.
I kind of was, I think that that was also one of like my biggest downfalls to being in WWE was that, I was kind of to myself,
Mm-hmm.
so I never feel like I personally experienced like anything crazy because I was just always in my own world. And I'm kind of like, I mean, my personality is like what you see is what you get. So I think if anyone even wanted to come to me and say something like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna fuck with her," because she has that like "don't fuck with me," personality.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I was just wondering because again, a lot of people just kind of worried about the general culture and of WWE, and I think maybe pro wrestling as a whole, a little bit. So
I mean, at the end of the day, let's just be honest. Like being a woman in any, I think, what is the word I'm trying to use? In any world, it's always going to be difficult because I've even said this in business before. When I go have a meeting and it's a man, it's like the next meeting. Another man having a meeting with a man is not flirting. It's not trying to be like, what can I get from you? It's like either you're gonna make this deal happen or you're not. As a woman, I feel like it's gonna always be a situation because like if you have boobs and you have a pussy, it's kind of like, well, can I get that? I don't mean to be vulgar, but it's unfortunate. I always say in my next life, if there is such a thing, I want to be a man because sometimes I feel like being a woman, you get taken advantage of or you don't get taken seriously because you're a woman.
breaks my heart, Ariane. Breaks my heart. So do you? I mean, I guess so. You have felt, not just in pro wrestling, but like I guess in a broader context, just like treated differently. Like your ability to move up and negotiate or do whatever was affected solely because you were a woman. You feel at certain points, I guess.
I mean, yeah, of course. And again, like I never like to add the whole race situation. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I'm a woman and I'm black.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like those are things that I can't change. And I do feel like there has been situations where it's like, yeah, being a woman and a woman of color, it's you know there's things that, you know, you get treated differently. Like we have, like I said, we've definitely made some way, but obviously BLM happened for a reason. You know what I mean? Because people were feeling like there was a huge issue, you know. So but at the end of the day, I embrace who I am. I love being the skin that I am,
Yeah.
the skin that I am in. And yeah, and at the end of the day, it's always a man's world, but I wouldn't change in this time where I'm at now, because I feel like, you know, that's what makes me unique and
Yeah.
gives me opportunities to work harder. You know what I mean? It's all about a mindset.
Well, being a man is not all great. I have to deal with other men and their bad behavior as of late, and it's really upsetting me. So anyway, Ariane, I really enjoy our conversations. I thought this was great. I really want to encourage everybody to go check out Bubblegum, you and Mugletta. Is there anything else that you want to plug, promote, put over here before we wrap up the conversation today?
Yeah. So, if you have not streamed it, go do it. It's on all digital streaming platforms. Bubblegum, it's Mugletta featuring moi. And yeah, stay tuned for the movie, which is called Strawberry Princess. It's coming out in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I play the character of Layla. And of course, watch Sippin' the Tea. And by the way, I didn't get a chance to tell you. We postponed the Bella's episode. So that is actually airing on Tuesday, whatever date that is. Next Tuesday. I don't have it in front of me.
That'll be the 28th. Tuesday
The 28th. So they are our 150th episode. So we mark 150th.
Okay, awesome. I was wondering because I was gonna bring it up, but I was like, I didn't see any quotes or anything run out of it. I didn't know if we just weren't doing our job or anything like that.
And no, the only reason why is just because we decided to change the intro and the outro, and that's been taking some time, and we didn't want to rush it. We wanted it to be like, you know, it's 150th, it's with the twins, so we wanted it to be correct. It's a whole hour long, you know, behind the scenes of their life episode. So we wanted to make sure it was good. Oh, and while we're at it, if you're trying to get in shape, I have a fitness app called AA Academy that gets you in mental and physical shape, and that's on Google Play and the App Store.
So in the Bella interview, do we find out why Nikki didn't get to go to SummerSlam? Like that's my big. I don't believe I hit a hot streak at the tables and just decided to forgo visiting SummerSlam. Do we get the answer, Ariane, or no?
There is a possibility that you get the answer.
That doesn't answer my question, Ariane. That's a
well. Look at here, Nick. So if I tell you here, why would people want to go listen?
Fair, I suppose. All right.
Hey, you know what? I made sure I gave you some good tea today, so you know.
Thank you, Ariane. Thank you very much.
Thank you.